Alright, here's me reviewing your profile. The very first thing I would definitely recommend is getting into the Rift because it's a really good money making method, especially early game, getting between like 20 mil an hour, 30 mil an hour, or like 50 to 60 mil an hour if you have a partner. Also, it's a really good way to level up your Skyblock level. Unfortunately, I am unable to see this section for some reason, but I also would definitely recommend upgrading your accessory bag. I can assume that you have at least like 200, 300 by now, but having this up is always definitely a really good thing. It'll always definitely help. I do like where you're at with mining right now, but if we're going to continue doing that, just remember to make sure we're still doing them dailies so we can eventually get up to Harden the Mountain 10. Last thing, I wouldn't really recommend getting super into dungeons unless we want to upgrade some of our gear, but really to get into mining, that won't really be much of an issue. And again, with some of the slayers, I definitely recommend doing at least some of the minimal ones just so we can get up that level of yours. It will also help with your lily weight and eventually your net worth. This will also be super profitable because Aatrox is mayor right now and it is only half off, so getting into Slayers is definitely a big help. Second to last thing, there are some really easy collections that we can get in because wood doesn't take that much time to do if you have the right setup. And then combat, there's a few things such as slime, gunpowder, and rotten flesh that we can definitely get up pretty quickly. And even within mining, getting things up such as cobblestone, gravel, ice, netherrack, and some of these other things can definitely be a big help. Lastly, something that will be super big for getting a lot of minions is upgrading minions. You have to do this manually by doing their individual upgrades, and you can see that if you go into like a collection and let's just say cobblestone, look at the cobblestone minion, and then just by upgrading these guys you don't have to do it all the way, you could really just do it to 7, but you will get access to a lot more minions, and that is definitely a very big thing. But like I said before, getting into Rift is such a huge thing. There's some guides that this YouTuber right here has that will definitely be such a large help in the future. But overall, it looks very good early game. Just keep it up, you're doing pretty good. Also, here is a very much updated way to get from the beginning to the very end. It's not that super easy, but it's all good. I'll put the link in the description as well for this. It's a full guide on every single thing from a very specific YouTuber. And basically, you would go along here. You do not need to watch this. I would also not watch this because there's a better guide, the one that I already put in the description. Unfortunately, I will not be talking about a mining setup, so that's what this video would basically cover, which again, the link for this little board will be in the description. After you made about like 2 to 3 bill, all the money you made to be able to pay for the complete setup in E-Man, of course, and then we move over to here. Once you do E-Man 7, or once you get E-Man 7, and then you get everything you need. And remember, this is optional, but it's also very important to have when you're grinding this for money, is a mythic E-Man for extra damage and experience, so you can run through them faster than the Atom Split Katana, which also is very useful inside of E-Man. And then also the Overflux Capacitor, which will give you more health, along with 800 magic power, which will be for the accessories and how many accessories you have. And then once you hit the 6 bill net worth, you should by now have the Hyperion and Terminator. And then from there, you use this money with these tools to get Enchanting 60. These should be, like, all of these things should be things you should be doing. And then again, this is a very overwhelming list, so I definitely do not, and I say this again, absolutely do not recommend going for these things later on. Just really focus on mining right now and really getting that down. Again, E-Man as well, that's like later game, but that's just like what to expect. That's basically the only reason why I'm mentioning this. Then lastly, there's the mayor cycle, of course. I definitely recommend when there is a very specific mayor to then do those things. When Derpy is mayor, do foraging, alchemy, and dungeons, master mode specifically, which you don't really need to get into until you're mid-game. Basically what this means is you will get the most from alchemy, and the most from foraging. Dungeons is just a little extra thing which you don't technically need at the moment. And then going down to Marina with a fishing festival, this will just help level up your fishing experience quite a bit. And then again with Atriox and Slayers, that'll also be very useful like I was discussing earlier. And then Coal Mine Festival, these things are very useful, and this is the route that I would very much try hard. Like, I would be on as much as possible during this. These other times can be very flexible. Again, with Finnegan, the garden, and then trying to obtain those gold medals. And then with dungeons, Paul dungeons, the master mode, which again isn't like a mandatory thing, but it is very useful. And then there you have it. Besides that, I really do not at all recommend forcing your way, like blunt forcing your way through this list at all. Just, you're right here, stay right there. Honestly, I'm right here, right? And I haven't even gotten to the next thing yet. So honestly, you're perfectly good where you're at, and I definitely do not recommend trying to push anything right now. So you're all good. Alright, well, I hope this helps.